Imagine a seismic shift in music history where three rock giants clashed in a battle that redefined what rock and roll could become. Welcome to the explosive spring and summer of 1973. Credits: Far Out/Atlantic Records/Tamla. Published Sunday, October 26, 2025, 1830, UK. Movements in culture often emerge gradually over years, but their endings can strike like lightning. Just 2 days separated the iconic Woodstock Festival from the Beatles' final joint recording session. And with that, the vibrant 1960s era of peace and love evaporated almost overnight. This abrupt change was jolted into reality by horrific events like the Manson murders, which swapped the era's hopeful ideals for widespread fear and distrust. The 1970s that followed wasn't so much a unified movement as a chaotic mix of rebellious declarations and bold statements. This transformation shone brightest in the world of classic rock. Had it truly earned the classic label yet? What was it evolving into? And who was driving this evolution? The answers unfolded dramatically in the spring and summer of 1973, over just a few intense months, as three British rock legends vied for the heart and soul of modern rock and roll. It kicked off as a duel in the album charts. On March 1, Pink Floyd unveiled an enigmatic masterpiece to the world. Dark Side of the Moon initially seemed like an eccentric anomaly. The band had been struggling since Syd Barrett's exit, desperately seeking a way to honor his wild, colorful influence. When they finally crafted this album, it felt like a breakthrough, a fresh chapter that could resonate with everyone. Roger Waters, the band's bassist, later shared with Billboard, "When the record was done, I brought a reel-to-reel copy home and played it for my wife. She burst into tears at the end, and I thought, this has really touched something deep, which made me happy." You know you've created something special when you hear it through someone else's ears for the first time. I realized, wow, this is a fully realized work, and I was confident it would connect with people. So, what exactly did they produce? The word complete perfectly captures it. The album blended tight song structures with an overarching narrative, innovative production helmed by Alan Parsons, deep philosophical themes, and daring instrumentation, resulting in a paradise for audio enthusiasts. It aligned perfectly with the rise of FM radio, which offered space for more complex, expansive musical explorations, positioning Dark Side as a beacon for a new musical dawn. But Pink Floyd wasn't the only contender. While Dark Side of the Moon would shatter records by lingering on the charts for an astounding 741 weeks, it intriguingly entered the US charts at number 95. The band had conceived it as an unbroken suite, so they skipped releasing singles ahead of time. It was their bold invitation to join a revolutionary shift in sound. And this is where it gets controversial. Did Pink Floyd's conceptual approach signal the future of rock, or was it abandoning the raw energy that made rock and roll thrilling in the first place? Yet, they weren't pioneering this strategy alone. Led Zeppelin, for instance, only put out 15 singles throughout their career, focusing instead on full albums. In March 1973, they launched their own challenge for rock's essence. Houses of the Holy came after a string of 4 legendary records, including the unbeatable Led Zeppelin 4, which is still one of the best-selling albums ever. Rather than try to outdo that, they broadened their horizons. Incorporating reggae vibes in tracks like Dear Macker and funky grooves in the crunge, plus sweeping orchestral elements in the ballad The Rain Song, inspired by George Harrison's suggestion to write one, the album showcased a fusion of diverse styles held together by the band's explosive energy. In essence, it proclaimed, if you can master any style, you can embody anything while staying true to their gritty rock roots. This wasn't an instant chart takeover, it was more like underdogs charging from behind in a wild race. Released in the US that same March, Houses of the Holy didn't claim the top spot until May, after a back-and-forth with Dark Side of the Moon holding it for just 1 week, followed by Elvis Presley's Aloha from Hawaii, then Paul McCartney and Wings' Red Rose Speedway for 3 weeks, and George Harrison's Living in the Material World for 5. Clearly, the Beatles' era of rock dominance had faded, but the Rolling Stones kept the flame alive. In August, they entered the fray with Goat's Head Soup, recorded in Jamaica, where the reggae influences drew them back to their bluesy beginnings. After the backlash from the Altamont disaster, the band toned down their rebellious edge somewhat in this make-or-break album. It didn't soar immediately, their path to number 1 was slow, finally overtaking Chicago a month after release. With softer tracks like Angie, Goat's Head Soup marked a more reflective phase. It hinted at rock's direction, maturing as younger artists began to innovate rather than imitate. Yet, the Stones dominated commercially, proving that established rock veterans still had staying power, a trend that continues to this day. But here's the part most people miss: this wasn't a vicious feud like the Blur versus Oasis battles of later years, where each side fought to outshine the other. Instead, these albums peacefully claimed #1 spots over time, embodying rock's three enduring facets: innovative experimentation, heavy yet refined sound, and timeless, riff-driven authenticity. Interestingly, the album that topped the charts longest in 1973 was Elton John's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, suggesting that perhaps pop had begun to eclipse rock as the leading musical force even amidst these rock classics. What do you think? Was 1973 the pinnacle of rock's evolution, or did it mark the beginning of its dilution into softer forms? Did these bands innovate brilliantly, or did they stray too far from rock's rebellious core? Share your opinions in the comments. Do you agree or disagree? Related topics. Never miss a beat. The Far Out Led Zeppelin newsletter. All the latest stories about Led Zeppelin from the independent voice of culture. Straight to your inbox.